How's it going? I am Dallas Braden, A's TV analyst. They say nobody's perfect, but I was on Mother's Day back in 2010. You are watching Bay Area Sports Wrap.
Hello.
Hey.
There's 1 quarter of the season left.
1 quarter?
Yeah, 11 games.
Okay.
What do you kind of feel like you guys have to do in this stretch when you're facing a bunch of teams that you're facing some of the top teams in the league between Atlanta, Phoenix, New York, Minnesota in this stretch that you've had some trouble with earlier on in the season? Like and it's obviously a different team than you had earlier this year, but how do you feel like where do you feel like you guys are at kind of in going into these more intense matchups?
I mean, with Atlanta, we just played them. Yeah. So I think going back looking at that game, we didn't close very well. And so I think we talked about being a little bit more organized today in film. And then I think our level of communication has to increase. If we want to talk about being top in defense, then our communication has to be better. It's more of like schematics, and it's more about how we can force the game in certain directions and be as disruptive as possible. So if we're not on the same page defensively, then we're not putting ourselves to be in position of being one of the top defensive teams. So that's what I'm challenging them to do tonight, and on every level too, right? Because they don't have Jordan Canada, so they're playing different. So they're not exactly the same as before, and they have Ryan Howard. So again, this is not the makeup of a week ago, and we have to be prepared for that.
Hey, Natalie. Earlier this week, Steve Kerr and Kurt Miller talked about how when they first were head coaches, they were surprised at how little practice time they had, and how that could affect the development of young players and things like that. I'm curious, with you guys being the expansion team and having that shortened training camp on top of not having as many practice, how you guys have handled trying to develop players throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, I think it's just about being creative of how you can teach players without getting on the court sometimes, right? So on the road, we couldn't control too much of court time. So then how can we spend more time with them, in film sessions, individually or collectively? Like I said, I like to teach them with all their learning styles. So it's figuring out their learning styles and being creative from there. I like to quiz them a lot. I think that's fun. But I think, it all depends on, I'd say, the age of your group. Because, sometimes as older groups, you want to rest them more. But, it's okay to practice, too. So, we call them stay-ready games. We haven't done a ton, obviously, on the road. But when we're at home, we have scout guys, we can practice. We don't have to practice our starters. So it's just, again, about being organized. It's about being thoughtful. It's about being prepared. And I think when you have that type of mindset throughout the coaching staff, then I think that's where you can develop. Right? It's not about just not practicing. So if you don't practice, then what else can you do? And I tell our coaches, how can we improve every single day and not just let days off go by? So we do a lot, actually, more than what people perceive we do. Yeah.
Hi, Natalie.
Hi.
I know above all else, playoffs are the ultimate goal, but have you been able to reflect on the fact that if you weren't to win another game, this is now the most successful expansion team of all time?
Nobody cares, really, about that. The goal is to be in the playoffs. We're not there yet, right? We didn't clinch it. We're actually far from it, and we still have 11 games. And so today is a must-win, because until we have an X next to our name, then that's the goal. So, but it's nice. It's nice to be congratulated on that. But that, who wants that? Would you rather take that record, or would you rather be in the playoffs? What would your answer be?
I want to play.
Well, then why are you bringing up the record? That doesn't really matter, But no, I think that's credit to our organization, to Joe, and obviously to our front office. They did a hell of a job assembling our team. But I know, Joe wouldn't be happy with that record. I think he wants to get to the playoffs. Yeah.
Coach, what stood out to you about the development of Veronica and how much she's grown this season?
Ooh, a lot. A lot. Obviously, her numbers have improved. We can start there. She averages 8.09. I have it right in front of me, but 8.09 points more this season. She's averaged 3.25 more assists per game, and then even 1.13 field goals of the 3 that she's made. So stats alone, that's a huge improvement. I can go to the point of This is a brand new team, and she decided to take the leadership role of a point guard with no fear. I challenged her, and I said this in my last press conference, but I'm an MFer. I MF people. That's my personality. I'm very stern. I like to use cuss words. That's my personality. And I said, V, can you MF some of these teammates? Can you MF some of, like just the team as a whole? Because to me, I think that gets people's attention. And she said, Coach, I'm more of an encouragement, positivity, support. And I said, look, do what you want. And what I love about V is that she stayed true to herself. She didn't get manipulated by me to try to push her to be a different person. She said, no, I'm more like this. I lead this way. I lead by example. And I push the buttons of the relationships that I build between each player. So give her credit then. She stayed true to herself. Now I do get to MF her though, and she's okay with it. But I just love the fact that V goes beyond of just what a player is. She builds her relationships. She knows what buttons to push. I know I can talk to Temi this way. I know I need to talk to Tip this way. I know Carla wants this type of, encouragement rather than this type of direction. And so that's all V, putting in the extra time of not just on the court, but off the court, building these relationships and how she can bring people with her. V is just not our point guard. She's bringing everyone with her in order to win these games. And so that's what I see. Yep.
And I know you obviously want to win every game and you want to be as high in the standings as you possibly can, but there's a big difference between the top half of the playoffs and the not top half of the playoffs. Is that a focus? Is that something you discuss? I mean, it is a pretty stark difference between those two brackets. What does that mean to you right now?
What do you mean in terms of the difference? What is the difference?
Start, in the first round.
Yeah.
Versus not getting 2 home games to start.
So you're talking about the home games?
Yeah, and I guess every single one went just 2 games last year in the first round. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty stark difference.
That wasn't us. We're a brand new team. So I'm not going to look at someone else's record and compare it to ours, right? Like, what I love to teach our players is that what can we control? What can we focus on? So obviously looking back in history didn't help our expansion. That had nothing to do with us, right? Comparing teams with other expansion. We didn't even call our team an expansion. We said this is a new team. This is a new journey, and we get to write our own story. That's how we talked about it. And now as we go to the playoffs, I talked about the chaotic environments that we can't control. So what does that look like on the road? It's sometimes you're not sleeping in your own bed. Sometimes you're traveling from West Coast to East Coast, time change. We can't pick the time of when we're going to have our first playoff game, if that's going to be the case. That's what we're hoping for. So of all these things that we can't control, how can I put them in environments to be successful when it's not at home? And we've been focusing on that. And I think having our last road trip, we just won our last 2 road games. And I'd say Washington was pretty chaotic. Like, they have a very tight-knit arena that's really loud. I think Chicago as well. They have a great crowd. And so, I think we've started to learn, like, when we bring our own energy and we stay connected and we just focus on what we need to do, that's where I think we're raising the bar in terms of put us anywhere. Home, away, it doesn't matter. And it shouldn't be our focus. Our focus should be Atlanta, and then let's move on to the next.
Obviously, Chechi's been so hot offensively, but defensively, how have you seen her kind of evolve this season? It seems like she's a little more active. She had that steal in Atlanta before her game-winning shot. She had a couple steals in Chicago as well, I think. Just how have you kind of seen her get involved defensively, getting her hands in and just being active?
Yeah, I don't know if people have seen enough of Chechi's game, but like, she's probably one of our highest IQs in terms of defense. Like, she's really great with angles. She really knows how to utilize her length if her athleticism isn't up to par with her matchup. And so being able to put Chechi on 1, 2s, 3s, or 4s, the versatility that she brings, she studies that game plan inside and out. And so when she's on the floor, she's able to help other players pick apart sometimes the offensive team that we want to, create havoc or create chaos or create disruption. And then also just with Chechi, like, if you guys can see, she plays with this type of composure, I think, that V talked about, right? She's very steady. She doesn't let things bother her, whether it's on offense and defense. And so, honestly, I'm learning a lot from Chechi, because in timeouts, if you guys wouldn't know, but she sometimes tells me what she sees. And then, like, versus the Washington game, we created our own play because they went zone. We haven't seen a 3-2 yet. So Chechi's like, hey, how about we do this? And we designed a play within, the third quarter that worked really, really well for us down the stretch. So I'm learning more from Chechi. I'm just going to be honest. Yeah, her IQ is unmatched. Yeah.
Last one.
Coming up on the 3 weeks since Monique got hurt, do you have an update on her, and how is she kind of progressing through her ankle injury?
All I know is she's doing really well in her workouts. She's feeling better every single day, and she has a good attitude. So we're kind of still waiting, like, on a day-to-day. But she's been in great spirits, and obviously, like, we love having her around because she stays positive and she gives that motherly touch that I think everyone on our team always needs. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, you guys.
Hi, I'm Warriors host Ari Waller. Please follow us and subscribe to Bay Area Sports Wrap.